Okay, this is a very interesting call, and it's one of the type of calls where people in Sri Lanka are attempting to give the Melbourne fraudsters, Margaret Cunniffe, David Brown, a defence that they just don't have. Now, a Supreme Court case was filed in Melbourne. I think it was around April 2015, April the 20th, something like that, around that time. And lo and behold, this clown is calling about a couple of weeks later, asking me questions which are actually on that filed case. Now, the documents weren't served at that point on the Melbourne fraudsters, but I think that in Melbourne and obviously many courts all over the place, when you file documents, I think they produce a list of the cases filed for that month or that quarter. So either there was a flag that was set up by the Melbourne fraudsters lawyers, McDonald, Slater and Lay, or just a search on their name, it would have picked it up. And then the little merry band of Sri Lankans get involved, and if the defamation matter is where I'm being accused of, I've hacked their systems or something, or hacked Facebook or something like that, then you get these people, these clowns here, who are trying to phone me and get me to almost give a defense or muddy the waters. It's a bit pathetic because now I have the forensics. It's an entirely different matter. It's a very serious matter of perversion of the course of justice. So I'll get on to this now, and I'll have the call recording of the guy, and I've basically sliced it into segments, and I'm commenting on the segment before. I'll write a proper document in a legal way at some point, but this is just a quick intro to let people know what's happening, and to obviously mitigate losses and further losses from other clowns who may have got involved or are thinking of getting involved.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Okay, so the first thing we notice is that the person who initially says hello is not Dr. Prasad, because they say hello in two different ways.
Sorry, who's this?
Good evening, that's Mr. Joe.
Yeah, who's this?
Hi, I'm Dr. Prasad here from Arthur Surgical.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Yes, for a long time I couldn't contact you. Where are you?
Yeah, no, I'm in Sri Lanka at the moment, but I was quite busy with a few different things. How have you been?
All right, yes, I'm fine actually today. I'm doing some shift work in General National Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I didn't really recognize his voice or the number initially until he said his name. Then you see he's talking about the National Hospital, I think that's a psychiatric hospital, and he's talking about bullshit work. Now, Sri Lankans tend not to speak like that. It's the kind of way that I speak. So he wants to try and, be familiar, speak in a familiar way with me, and hopefully I'll relate to it, or hopefully even better still, I'll slag off the National Hospital. That's always the plan in this country, to have conversations and to get someone to agree with someone's, line of thinking.
Yes, I would like to meet you. I need some kind of advice regarding software.
Oh, yeah.
So are you staying in Sri Lanka, or are you going abroad?
Yeah, no, I'm staying in Sri Lanka, but I'm very busy with some projects. So maybe in about a month or so, would that be okay?
So this doctor wants advice on software, and he also wants to meet. Obviously, he'd be coming with some kind of recording device. That's what's been happening here. And I'm obviously busy, so I've said I'll meet with you in a month or so. I mean, it's fairly polite, Obviously, that would have been interpreted as a big kick in the teeth, but that's how these clowns interpret normal stuff.
No, I need a small advice. I mean,
just ask over the phone. What do you need the advice with?
Right. I mean, so if you can give me I mean, if I can come to your place and meet you for a short while, it would be better.
No, I don't have time to meet, but just tell me if you want something over the phone, just tell me over the phone, yeah? Okay? So what's the problem? What's the problem? What do you need?
So the guy is obviously dithering. It's obviously something that's sensitive. That's why he wants a face-to-face meeting. And he obviously doesn't want to discuss it over the phone. Now, the fact that he's phoning, the theft of materials in December 2014, it had a number of call recordings. His was one of the numbers on the call recordings. So it would make sense that the people who had access to the stolen materials would have probably gone through the various call recordings and then call those people to try and, get them online or get them to say something bad or something along those lines. So the fact that this guy is calling and wanting to have a face-to-face meeting, it's clear that he wanted to ask something that was nefarious. And this obviously is proved further in the call.
Yeah, problem is actually, so one of the companies actually, so my girlfriend is working there, and she's having some issues with the IT system actually, and
So I think there's an imaginary girlfriend in Dubai using imaginary systems. And the reason for Dubai is that obviously my adversaries are trying to, mess up something involving another country. And Dubai is relevant because in the affidavit of Daljit Gill, I was actually doing a project involving cryptographic technology, and that information is written in the affidavit itself. So I think, there is the connection between this guy and the Melbourne fraudsters. And in fact, there are lots of connections between ShitLankans and the Melbourne fraudsters. There's a little merry band of clowns that go around. Every time they need a defense, out pops a ShitLankan who will try and, run the defense for them.
As a third party, can we enter to other people?
Sorry, look. Ask the specific. What's the specific question that you have? What do you want to ask me? Okay, ask me the question. Right.
You see, I knew what this clown was getting at, and I wanted to keep him talking, and I wanted him to really get into the detail of what he was wanting. Because I was obviously recording this, and it's always useful when, especially at the start of cases, it's always the initial people and the initial conversations when you don't really think there's anything there that are the ones that present themselves in, similar signature theme later on. And, he's asking me whether I am able to access third-party systems. The next thing will be, if I've got the ability to access, it means I have access. I mean, that is more deficient logic from people in this part of the world. But anyway, it's like saying, if you're a locksmith and you can open, car doors, it means you've broken into car doors every time, your name comes every time someone's car is broken into. Is that kind of dumb thinking, unfortunately, that pervades Australia and Sri Lanka?
The thing is actually, can we access to other companies that it's a Middle East construction company?
Yeah.
Their email systems. Can we access?
Why do you want to access another company's email systems?
She's having some problems with that company. She's going to leave.
Okay, so the guy is slightly more forthcoming, and it's clear that he wants me. He's trying to incite me into a criminal act, and he wants to access. In the story, he's trying to say, my girlfriend's been wronged. There's always a self-victimization in this part of the world, and therefore, can you you know, help me get my revenge, or help me, you know. It's always, that's how it works, unfortunately. It's a bit pathetic. They can't analyze the situation correctly, and they can't understand that, you know, if there's an issue, you have to work within the parameters. You can't just do unlawful things because you've decided that, oh, you're wronged in some way.
And what's her name?
Huh?
What's her name?
She's Johan.
And what's the company?
Actually, company's name, I don't know. She's written.
Okay, so Dr. Prasad, when asked what his girlfriend's name is, he doesn't know. And I think that, you know, it doesn't normally take somebody 9 seconds from when I first asked to actually come out with a girlfriend's name. And in relation to the name of the company, he doesn't want to or doesn't know it either. I think that the fact that he doesn't know his girlfriend's name, that's just bizarre.
Sorry, I don't. Yeah, look, I don't have time, and I don't know what to do in your situation. I think you better get legal advice as to what is done. I don't know what the laws are in the Middle East or in Sri Lanka if it's a labour problem. But what I suggest is speak to a lawyer and explain the situation to them. Because you see, I'm very busy now, especially after my own heart problems, and I've got to get back to my work, and my work is very complicated, and I certainly don't want to get involved in accessing somebody else's servers. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So, well, that's fine, and I wish you the best. And yeah, as I said, get legal advice. I don't know what exactly the problem is. You haven't been very descriptive of the problem, and you haven't really given me any information. But I don't really need the information anyway, because I'm not interested in assisting. So you have a great day, okay?
Okay, so in this segment, I say that I'm not interested in assisting, and I also make the point that, you know, that I think it's just ridiculous for him to try and access a server, and I also suggest he should get legal advice.
It's kind of, I mean, I want to know, I mean, you having the capability of accessing.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Well, it doesn't matter whether I've got the capability or not. I'm not interested. That's the bottom line, you know. Obviously, I'm an IT security expert, but I just don't get involved in that kind of activity. I'm just very busy. I've got health problems as it is, and you know, that's the main thing there. You see, so.
So then the clown is asking if I've got any capability of accessing, and you know, I'm not sure how people really think that, you know, this is actually going to assist them. Asking these pointless questions, which are very easy to identify what's happening, you know, to try and entrap me, entice me to commit a crime, or to try and give Margaret Cunniffe, David Brown a defense. It's just laughable. It's absolutely laughable.
I don't know.
No, it's the heart's still funny, but look, I'm a bit busy. So, you know, I think, as I said, go and speak to a lawyer, or maybe speak to the police, and see what you could do that way, okay?
So we have now opened a new heart center in the central hospital.
Yeah, look. Oh. I'm really busy, yeah? Okay?
Oh.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Okay, thanks.
Obviously, the clown wants to try and keep the conversation going, but I'm just not interested. I'm busy anyway. Even if I were interested, which I'm not. So that's the end of that, really. Until Charmery Silver came and tried to took off where this clown left.